Hey guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Crackle on the Beat, with myself, Vicky, where I'll be obsessing and addressing all things music. So if that's your kind of thing, then hit subscribe, share, like, all that jazz, and we'll get into it. So today I am going to be dissecting and confronting the gritty new album Fight Club by UK grime artist Ocean Wisdom. Fight Club came out in August of this year, 2024, and Ocean Wisdom, to me, is one of the best UK grime rappers, MCs, not just in the UK, but of all time, for many, many different reasons. His lyrical gymnastic ability and grimy yet nonchalant flows are completely unmatched. So the sheer speed alone and coherence of his smooth, fast hooks is both captivating, charming, and just like a satisfyingly completed box of puzzle pieces, all slotting together with ease and impact. You know, you either have it or you don't. Not so much nowadays, but Ocean Wisdom has, in my opinion, been very sort of under the radar, only really keeps his head down, but has so much to offer and so much to say, and when he does and when he decides to, he bosses it every time by staying completely and utterly authentic to himself and completely focused in where he's going and what he wants to do with his music. So I think Ocean Wisdom has always had a very particular quirk about him that sets him aside from a lot of the other UK rappers. It's easy to tell that he not only embodies inspiration from London and Camden, but also from Brighton, where he grew up, I believe. You get a sense of flavour and a cocktail of different influences throughout all of his albums, which really does, it adds to another reason why he's one of the best rappers, in my opinion. It's just his pure versatility in style, sound and notion. So from High Focus Records, with a young, snappy, gritty character in Chaos 93, solidifying his place in the grime scene, I feel, to the menacing Whizville, to moving away from High Focus, to the somewhat playful but also straight talking hip hop number with Big Talk, to lastly the very cerebral, mellowed and distilling Stay Sane album that came out sort of during the lockdown period. So on this album there's like a plethora of different features, including Gets, Gigs, Method Man, P Money, DEE, and just so many more other talented and respected and very well-known artists within the grime scene. So to me, Fight Club seems to take a turn backwards, but in a good way. It takes a turn back to what seems to be his very original, gritty, grimy roots. He's back in full swing with it. Not to say he ever left, but I just feel like this album, Fight Club, is solid, pure grime with a vengeance. Fight Club definitely has an animalistic vengefulness with hard beats, gritted teeth and lyrical play with the rough and tumble. It steps forward with the most weaponry and the most armour of them all. So in terms of selected tracks, I've just picked a couple that I want to dissect a little bit. And the first one is Come Back. So this initially sets the tone for the whole album. It's the first track, and you can really feel that looming alpha stance. Most of the tracks have this like fight club whispering throughout, which I think is really, really good for continuity. And I think this track the first track says it all of what you're in for, really. The second one I'll talk about is Come to the Club featuring Gets. This definitely stands out as one of the jumpiest, bounciest tracks. It's got like sort of a hype man element to it, a togetherness, and it just makes a lot of noise. It just gets you gassed, really. That's all I can say about this one. So thirdly, the track that I want to talk about is probably my favourite one on the album that really took me back, and that is Fools. It has a choppy and highly moment capturing flow that slots together like links in a chain. It is so satisfying. The flow is just unmatched. The type of flow that catches you dead in your tracks. It stops everything that you're doing just so you can shut up and listen. And yeah, and again, it just got me completely gassed. And he definitely knows how to tell you to shut up without actually telling you, in the best way possible. The last track that I want to dissect is Squids. So this one I find is really interesting, as it stood out as being probably the most vulnerable and heartfelt of them all within the album. We've seen Ocean Wisdom sort of convey sort of heartfelt messages and feelings in some of his albums, some of his tracks in some previous albums, for example Uneven, in Stay Sane, and also Voices in My Head on Big Talk, are like just to name a few. This album, however, is very clearly not necessarily heading down that route, yet he still finds a way to sort of capture that glimmer of emotion in reality, despite the sort of like vengeful nature of Fight Club that I've been getting from this. Squids kind of felt like a track you could take a deep breath with just before you sort of slowly reach to the end of the album. I feel like at some point in this very continuous, very choppy album, there had to be a track where you could just... And I think Squids was the one that did that for me. So obviously I'd love to talk about absolutely every single track. I love them all, but this review is going to be sort of breaking down the album sort of in summary, all in all. So all in all, Fight Club is definitely making a lot of noise. By far an alpha album amongst the rest. I do think there is a clear, concise blend throughout the album which complements to its coherence and its focus. However, in some respects, I do feel like it could take away from its memorable nature to individual and isolated tracks compared to some of his previous albums. And what I mean by that is that it can risk it blending into the background when played casually, as there isn't a whole lot of sort of dramatic switch up between the tracks, and the production could read as a little bit samey. However, I feel like the mood of the album is so beautifully focused. It's, like I said, very coherent. It's not all over the place. It knows exactly where it's going. It has sort of tunnel vision. I'm going here and this is where I'm taking you. Yeah, and I do feel like it's sort of like 1 hour and 11 minutes of like banging on a puff chest, you know. Just feels like he had something to get off his chest, and I feel like he'd done this perfectly in Fight Club. In Ocean Wisdom's previous albums, he has displayed a vast amount of whimsy, flavour, sound and instrumental, so I kind of feel like it makes a lot of sense as to why he's leaning into sort of a pure grime sounding album all around. You know, every now and then in life we have to just go back to our roots, and we have to really like go back to our roots and give it all that we've got. And I think that's exactly what he's been doing here, from my take on it. Ocean Wisdom has always kind of known what he wants to say and exactly how he wants to say it, with flair, diction and total conviction, to say the least. But there is something about this album that says he's really had enough of the BS, and he's got a hell of a lot to say. Almost a notion of that he's kind of saying like, try me. Go on, I dare ya. That's what I took from it anyway. He's, you know, he's ready to slice and dice. One last little sort of note that I could leave with this is that stick this entire album on when you're in the gym session, and I can guarantee it's going to be a good session. So there we have it, Fight Club. That's a wrap. Ocean Wisdom, one of my favourite MCs, or one of my favourite artists of all time. Let me know in the comments, did you love the album? Did you not like it so much? Let me know what you want me to review next. And until next time, peace.